Okay, I'm going to do a very quick update on Bitcoin. Bitcoin has finished out the Sunday session, and again, I believe Bitcoin is topped. Broke the trend line from April. We back tested it. We may test it again if we try to go to a higher Fibonacci, if the signals all begin to turn back to bullish. My guess is you're likely going to get a lower high and then come back and take out this level right here. But again, this is a counter trend. We'll see if it's done. My guess is it is, but there's still a possibility of a larger Fibonacci retracement. We turned just under the 61.8 Fibonacci. I'll show you that in a second. Bars are still red here. We've had a successful back test. We had a topping tail. We confirmed it. We got a follow through. If we do rally back up right now, I expect you're probably going to get a lower high and then somewhere below this 116,000 area. The bullish, short-term bullish area would be that we get above it and we go hit the trend line again, and you go up into the golden pocket between 117,000 and 118,000, the Fibonacci retracements from this level. So again, this move is done right now. I expect to move below this level right here. If it's not done, then we'll be watching if we challenge that high. And if we do, watch the 61.8 fib to the 78.6 fib, which is the golden pocket, the retracement of the decline of nearly 18% of this decline right here. Our April 6th high. We hit major resistance there in the weekly and the monthly time frame. 4-hour time frame bars have turned back to blue. We got a bullish signal here on Saturday over the weekend. We've got a short-term bottoming signal, and again, we could just be getting a counter trend. If this is a 5-leg push lower, you could be getting an ABC move back up. It takes us back up to get a Fibonacci retracement of this for a lower high, back testing the bear flag before getting the bigger dump. Again, we've either completed wave 2, wave 1, wave 2, or wave 2 is not done yet. We'll get a bigger Fibonacci retracement into the golden pocket between the 61.8 Fibonacci, 117,000 to 121,000, the golden pocket between the 61.8 fib and the 78.6 fib. We came to just under it. Again, back when we were bottoming, I told you might see what looks like a inverse head and shoulders pattern. And again, I told you if we see that happen, the moon boys were gonna, it's an inverse head and shoulders. Bitcoin is likely topped at major resistance. I got the topping signals back over here on the 4-hour chart, along with the daily signals, and again, the weekly signals have validated that, at least so far. In order to have a bullish case going forward, got to be able to clear resistance. People do not want to hear this. When I call the top back in, I call the very day of the top back in 2021, people said, oh, we're going to never dropping below 60,000. We're going up to 100,000. No, you're wrong. 200,000, 250, 300,000, 500,000, 150,000, no, 1 million. And people, outdo each other on these crazy targets for Bitcoin. Said we had topped. People don't want to hear it. And then when I was right and Bitcoin dropped 52%, got even angrier. People don't want to hear it. They have confirmational bias. I don't care which way Bitcoin goes, up or down. I was very, very bullish at the April bottom. I saw evidence of a bottom, and I told you Bitcoin was going to go make new highs. Over here, I'm seeing evidence of a top, and so I have changed. Most people don't have the ability to do that. Most people are either bearish or bullish. Most people in crypto are a bunch of perma bulls, like the moon boys. I heard they're on a steady diet of this stuff. Presented with the evidence that Bitcoin's going to continue the advance without confirming a bear market, I will change. As I've said, Bitcoin is likely about to get crash wave 3 and likely going to crash into December or January, dropping about 40 or 50% or so. I've talked about back down to the 74,000 level, dropping 41% or dropping back down 50% like it did, 52% like it did at the last top. Bitcoin usually has a crash to kick off the bear market. This time's going to be no different. We've already dropped 18%, but I'll be watching, can we recover or not, or is that it? Do we make a lower high here, or do we try to get a bigger recovery? If we get a bigger recovery, then you've got a larger ABC formation, and then you go, up into the golden pocket here somewhere. I think that's less likely, but it's still possible. You got to be able to get above the trend line or take your time, not get back above it. But we can easily flip back to a bearish signal anytime soon. So I'll be watching this. Let me show you the 4-hour chart, but I want to show you again Let me just show you what I'm looking at. Again, we've started the session for Monday, for November 3rd. And here is that 5-minute, 4-hour chart, 4-hour chart. Again, I believe that Bitcoin has a wave 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a 5 down for wave 1 right here at 103,000. Remember back at the top, we were slamming into major resistance. I warned of a Bitcoin top back at that time. Told you I thought it had topped. I've told you every single week, every single day since then, Bitcoin is likely topped. The 4-year cycle. I talked about the 4-year cycle a couple weeks ago, went into great length of detail explaining the 4-year cycle. It was pointing to an October top. Bitcoin did that. Bitcoin is topped. The stock market should peak shortly thereafter. We got topping tails this last week for the NASDAQ and S&P in the weekly time frame at major resistance. If Bitcoin is topped, again, you have wave 1 here. I've marked this as an A and a B and a C for wave 2. Got a lower high and possibly a 1, 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5 down of our first subwaves for wave 3 if we get an A, a B, and a C back up, maybe into that trend line right there, and back testing this trend line of the bear flag. The bear flag, as we went into the trend line into the daily time frame, which I showed you already. 50 still below the 200 here. Again, if we rally back up above the 50, watch the 200, watch this trend line. Again, watch to see, do we get a lower high? The bullish scenario would be that short-term bullish scenario is that we get a larger A, B, and C back up into the golden pocket here in between back up to the 61.8 Fibonacci or the 78.6 Fibonacci. Sorry, I was at the 50% retracement there, into this area between 117 and 121,000. So again, I'm going to be watching this, but like I said, I believe Bitcoin's topped right over here. I believe eventually we complete the counter trend. I believe we probably already have, but I'm open-minded to a bigger Fibonacci retracement if my signals, which are correct, turn back to bullish. And I told you we had that 9 count with the lower high that set up to the 116,000 area there. Now the Bollinger Bands are tightening up, so this is telling us something's coming. Now when the Bollinger Bands tightened up over here, you dropped and you went in the other direction. Okay, when the Bollinger Bands tighten up in here, you did it again. You went to the upper band, went down to the lower band. They were still tight, and then you went back into the upper band there. This is telling us a big move is setting up to happen in the coming days, or maybe over the next week or two. Something's setting up big that could take us below Bitcoin's average price. Try to get an attempted bigger recovery. This is what the bands are telling us. Back over here, the bands tightened up, and the bottom fell out of Bitcoin. Over here, the bands tightened up. We went higher, we went lower, and then we went and we made a new high. I don't think we're going to make a new high. I think Bitcoin has peaked. The signals in the weekly time frame remain bearish, then Bitcoin will likely not make new highs. Right now, we try to get above the 200. We're struggling. If we can close back above it on Monday by the close, we're selling off 1.5% right now. But if we can rebound, you got a shot at reaching the 50 or going up to the upper band, or again, getting a lower high below this level or a larger Fibonacci retracement. I think that higher highs, a new high, is very unlikely. I think any rally back up is a gift to the bears and an opportunity for the bulls to exit their positions, which is what I think seeing with these rallies into the resistance. You're seeing distribution over and over, distribution over and over as the longs exit and the shorts pile on. We're going to attempt a bigger rebound. Bitcoin signals have to turn back to bullish. They tried that. Signals reverted right back to bearish. Here, signals are bearish. Remember, while we're seeing the daily signals revert back to bearish after the lower high at 116,000, we're seeing the weekly charts all turn bearish or have already been bearish. Signals in the weekly time frame remain bearish. We got warning signs at the top, and if they remain bearish, bars are red. If we confirm a bear market by closing below the 50-week moving average and then getting an open close below it like we did over here, then you've got a confirmed bear market. So again, I have real evidence here that Bitcoin has topped. With their third rejection at the trend line, July, August, and then October. Now things are going to turn back to bullish. If bars have to turn bullish, you have to bounce off the 50-week and you get a clear resistance. That's going to be bullish. If you don't do that, what just happened here is bearish. I think Bitcoin has topped, and I think it's forming a head and shoulders that will eventually take down to 74,000, that will eventually take us down 80 or 90%, which was what Bitcoin has done in the past. It's finished the bull cycle. We rallied 116,000 and then signals turned back to bearish. Might try to get a bigger rebound here. We'll see what happens. But again, you come back and you start taking out 103,000. That's not going to be bullish. And you got that head and shoulders top. Bars flip back to bearish, and we got the warning sign there. Again, you might try to back test the bear flag or get the bigger Fibonacci retracement. But again, my signals turn bearish at the top, and I think that you validation of that in the weekly time frame. We got the warning sign at the top. Bitcoin dropped nearly 18%. And again, my signals did an excellent job. Bars turned bearish. Got a bottoming signal here. We had that bullish divergence in the 4-hour time frame. Signals turning bearish here, turning down, try to turn back up with the Sunday session, turning back down. And again, these minor signals, this was a major bottom signal, so you still have a shot at a larger Fibonacci retracement or a test of this 116,000 for a larger, higher low. But again, you come down, you take out 103,000, and this move is done for a counter trend. And we have wave 1 and 2, and we're now in 3 here, or is wave 2 not done? Now the session is early. We just started the Monday session. We'll see what the bar looks like. Do we get a big sell-off? Do we get a big sell-off, or do we attempt a recovery? Bigger recovery. And the weekly charts are bearish. They're telling me, hey, either we're going to get a bigger correction or you're topping and reversing like we did back over here. These other sell-offs, these were pullback, corrective moves, bounce off the 50. Bulls still have a shot at it. You confirm a bear market, take it out the 50-week, confirm a bear market, and the bulls will likely have no chance of a recovery if we confirm a bear market. Now, again, my signals have to turn back to bullish in order to get a bigger counter trend to test this level, or to try to take it out and go to the golden pocket and get a bigger Fibonacci retracement of this. We got a bearish signal at the top that was validated. Got a bullish signal here. That gave us a rebound so far. Is it over? It is if the signals remain bearish and you come back and take out 103,000. Well, we didn't get a topping signal here. Well, we didn't get one over here either, and we still went down to new lows. You don't always get it. Just programmed it to tell me where turns might happen. It does a good job of marking tops, bottoms, and turning points, but like you get, again, this bottoming warning sign right here. Well, we got a peak here, and it never warned that we're going to continue selling. It's just saying, hey, we're likely to rebound there. We got one over here, went back up, didn't get a topping signal here either, still went to new lows. So again, just telling me when price reaches an overbought or oversold condition where it is likely to turn. But signals turn bullish, they reverted back to bearish. So again, my signals, which are correct, turn back to bullish. You can't go and get a larger Fibonacci retracement, or you can't get a bigger retracement of this decline. The risk is you come back and you take out 103,000. So if they can turn back to bullish, we're getting a larger retracement of 116,000, or moving up to the 117 to 121,000 for the golden pocket to be tested. Now, as we're starting the Monday session, we're down early on into the session, and we're still struggling at the 200 period moving average. If, again, we get a bigger recovery, you want to be watching the downward trend line. Here it is in the daily time frame, the downward trend line, back testing the bear flag right there, okay? And watch to see, does a lower high, lower than 116,000 set up? If it does, then we'll be watching, can we come down and take out 103,000? And then if so, do we take out 98,000 and move below 100,000 and try to take out 98,000 here? We have our possible head and shoulders pattern right here that, again, if we end up getting a lower high and breaking this neckline, you're going to move to take out 103,000. The head and shoulders pattern will begin to play out. If the head and shoulders plays out, it measures from the high to the low $23,000. The breakdown point here for the pattern to play out would be here at this slanted neckline area, which I've excluded the shadow. If we take it from that breakout point there, excluding the shadow, you're looking at a target, an objective target of going down to about 83,000. I believe Bitcoin is coming back to the April low down over here for a test. As I've said, I think you have a massive head and shoulders that's developing on Bitcoin. Miniature head and shoulders here, and likely what is a larger one. RSI is still in the negative region below 50. The MACD is still negative. Bitcoin's dropping as I'm making the video. It's down 1.34%. As I'm doing a quick update here on Sunday, as Bitcoin has now started the Monday session, it's down 1.42% at the moment, or close to that. We closed the Sunday session at up 0.44%. We closed this Saturday session at up 0.44%. Both of them up 0.44%. That's interesting. Right on the nose. Again, we're trying to get above the 200. Now it's failing. We'll be watching. Do we get a bigger move back up, a retracement of this move here? If you do we stop the 200 period again and get a lower high, and then you come down and do that? Or is this it? Now, if my signals can all turn back to bullish, you still got a shot at coming back up here and getting a larger Fibonacci retracement and then going. And again, that is in here in the daily time frame. That is in here in the golden pocket. On the 4-hour chart, 61.8 fib, 117, 121,000, 78.6 Fibonacci. So again, I think that scenario is less likely, but again, it's still possible, so I'm showing it to you. The other possibility is that the weekly charts resume back to bullish and try to clear resistance. I'll keep saying the bullish scenario until we confirm a bear market, closing back below the 50-week moving average in the weekly time frame. But I do believe, again, that's not my point of view, and that's not what I'm predicting. I believe Bitcoin is topped. I see evidence of a top, and I believe that Bitcoin is setting up a lower high here and likely going to go lower. It might try to recover up here. I doubt it, but it could. My signals try to turn back to bullish. I think it's more likely that, again, you get this lower high somewhere here below 116,000, either here or a little bit higher, and then you turn back down and maybe go up to that 50 period. Again, we're trying at the 200, and I might have said the 200 up here. It's the 50 period moving average here, 200 down here. If I misspoke earlier, I apologize. But the 50 is the green line, the 200 is the black line. And right now we're trying to get above the 200. It's failing. We may do it over the next couple of days and come up to the 50 and get a lower high. Now, if I just bring up the Fibonacci retracements from the 116,000 high right here to our low down over here at 106,000, the Fibonacci retracements, currently we're stalling at the 50% retracement. If you can clear that in the 50 period moving average, our 200 is up here at the 78.6 Fibonacci at 114,250, and again up here our high at 116,000. So again, I'll be watching that. The 61.8 Fibonacci is at 112,500. So 112,500 to 114,250 is our golden pocket between the 61.8 Fibonacci and the 78.6 Fibonacci. If Bitcoin can rally further, it may not be able to, as long as signals remain bullish. If you can clear this high, then you got a shot, and signals all begin to turn back to bullish and clear the 200. Then you got a higher of a chance of a larger Fibonacci retracement. I think that's the chances are slim to none. Again, I'd be derelict in my duty if I did not tell you that that is possible. This is back on the 4-hour chart here on Bitcoin. So just going back to the daily chart, we'll be watching right now. We tried to get above. We tried to get some closes there above the 200 period. Now we're dropping back below it. If we can rebound back up, if the pullback here gets bought, then again, you might get a larger Fibonacci retracement that I just showed you on the intraday, or try to come up here again, which I think is less likely. Still possible. And Bitcoin has done major technical damage. It's turned off of the trend line from the weekly chart. Two different trend lines in the weekly time frame. We broke this trend line of the rising support. I called the bottom over here. Very day of the bottom, my signals flashed a bottom signal just as they flashed a topping signal up at the top. We turned off major resistance, and I told you we broke the trend line, we back tested it, You still may try to push up into it one more time if to reach those larger fibs and then dump. I think it's less likely, but you could. I don't want to rule that out. I don't think you're moving to new highs, and I think Bitcoin is already topped. And again, you're likely back testing this smaller flag pattern as we came up when we turned off of the broken trend line from the April 2025 low. If we do go higher, try to reach the 50-period moving average, again, you could just try to come up into that level, get a lower high, and then turn down, another lower high below 116,000. Those Fibonacci's I just showed you on the intraday chart. See the massive head and shoulders here that I've drawn, and again, I think we're going to end up selling off. When Bitcoin crashes with a bear market, it kicks it off. It kicks off the bear market with the crash. That's what's happened in all the past bear markets. Getting these liquidation moves like we got recently on the 10th, likely going to see more liquidation moves as we go down towards the 74,000 area, 41% lower, or what it did at the last bear market is it dropped 52%. If we get a 50% haircut, it drops down to 63,000. A 52% drop is 60,000. So again, watching these levels, and don't rule that out. That's possible. You know, I posted this chart on X, and I had a guy that remarked on it, telling me, he's worth $600 million, and this is the stupidest chart he's ever seen, and no possible way this can happen, and blah, blah, blah. I wasn't worthy to shovel snow in his front yard. I don't care if you're worth 600 million or if you're a billionaire. Again, the charts don't lie. We've done technical damage. We've reversed off major resistance in the weekly time frame, and then we've come down and we've broken this trend line in the daily time frame and back tested it. People are just arrogant. He did not want to hear what I had to say about Bitcoin. And again, believe me, the last time I called the top back in November of 2021. When it drops, they're going to hate me no more. I had friends get mad at me for daring to say Bitcoin had topped and going to collapse. I ended up being right in 2021. I'm going to be right now. As long as my signals, which are correct, remain bearish. If they turn back to bullish, I would turn back to bullish in the weekly time frame, warning me of a top. Bullish at the bottom, and you were bullish on the way up, and as we went back and forth, yeah, I'm a trader. If Bitcoin can clear resistance, it's going to be bullish. If it gets rejection there, which it did 3 times, it's not bullish. I have the ability to change when my signals say, hey, something's wrong, we're hitting resistance, we're getting rejection, and then it was validated with the weekly charts, validated with the daily charts, breaking the trend line and all this. Most people don't have the ability to flip back and forth from bullish to bearish. Most people don't have that ability. A lot of people are mad at me right now, daring to say, okay, I think Bitcoin's topped, and I think Bitcoin's going to crash down. When Bitcoin has had bear markets in the past, it's dropped, 80 to 90%. We dropped down 80%. From 126,000, you're looking at Bitcoin 25,000. If we drop 90%, you're looking at 11 or 12,000 or so. That's what Bitcoin's done in the past, but people that do not want to hear that message. See anything that turns back to bullish on Bitcoin, I'll let you know, but I'm gonna abide by my signals. Bullish down here when I called the day of the bottom, they warned me, they tipped me out to that, they tipped me out to the top. They want me to take heed to my signals when they're bullish, but they want me to ignore my signals when they're bearish? Sorry, ain't gonna do it, man. No way. Again, with the sideways chop, my signals flip back and forth from bullish to bearish, and I let you know that at the time. I think you're going to get a drop. I think you're going to come down much lower, 40 or 50% lower down to these targets that I've marked here. I think the Fed's going to panic. We're going to have the recession starting here. Markets collapse, begin to price that in Bitcoin and the stock market, and then you're going to see the Fed cut, and you're going to see markets massively rally, and I think that will give us rally back up towards 100,000 or just above it for a right shoulder. Over here, we were just above 100,000 at these highs for the left shoulder. And Bitcoin's turning off major resistance in the weekly time frame. This is our log scaling off of the 2021 highs, pointing right up to the next high right there. When I called this top over here in 2021, I told you these lows were pointing to the next high. Now I've been talking about if we can't clear resistance, these highs are pointing to the next high. We tried it once in July. We tried it again in August, came back. We tried it again in October. We didn't do it. It's 1, 2, 3 strikes and you're out. And again, I saw evidence of a top, and that's why I've said so. If we end up losing this trend line going back here to the bottom, taking out the 50-week, confirming a bear market here in the weekly time frame, you're going to drop 80 or 90%. I think you're going to drop down, just zoom out here back to the trend line here from 2018 and 2020. And I think that could take you down to 90%. If we take longer to reach it, then the target could be higher. But if we reach it, into 2027 there, late 2026 maybe, you're looking at 11 or 12,000, 13,000, something like that. Just eyeballing it here. This is where I think we're likely going. I think it's going to be a bad recession. We closed out the week with Bitcoin's weekly signal still bearish. We got the topping signal at the top. And again, people want me to ignore my signals, and I'm not going to do it. Again, I'll be bullish. I was bullish down here where my signals turned bullish in April. We've just gotten rejection at major resistance for the third time in a row. And again, Bitcoin has likely topped. My signals, which are correct, remain bearish here in the weekly time frame. If you think Bitcoin's going to go higher, my signals have to turn bullish. We've got to take out the resistance and take out that high at 126,000. The fact that my long-term trending bars turned back to red and we broke down and we back tested the April trend line was not good. We might go up to the 50 period or even try to get a bigger Fibonacci retracement, as I've said, back up to the trend line. But regardless of whether you go to the 50 or to the trend line, again, you're likely headed down. Or if you do it right here, right now, again, you take out Bitcoin's average price, you confirm a bear market. Last time when I called the bottom, we bounced off of it. You confirm a bottom here. That would be bullish and being able to try to get back and take out these resistance levels and move to a new high. Confirming and dropping below this level is going to confirm right here at the 102,000, taking out 103,000, dropping below it, and then staying below Bitcoin's average price and the 50-week moving average and the 10-month moving average. That's going to confirm a bear market. Again, whether we get a bigger Fibonacci retracement or counter trend, personally, I don't think so. We could. I don't want to rule it out. You could test the trend line again. I think that 116 is likely the lower high. Open-minded to it. Do you get a bigger rally, it's going to stall likely between 117,000 and 121,000. Red bars right here are a huge red flag. Turn bearish with the corrections on the way up, but if they turn bearish and remain that way, and we take out Bitcoin's average price, that's going to confirm a bear market. So again, the bars are red. That's a huge red flag. If we take out Bitcoin's average price, stay below it, confirm a bear market, we'll have confirmation that the top is in. We're going to talk about the bullish case until that happens. I think it's very unlikely. The 4-year cycle ended. Again, that's really unpopular to say. People don't want to hear the truth right now. It's a bullish scenario if we can clear resistance. If you get rejection there for the third time, that's not bullish. And again, I told you I started seeing evidence, warning signs on weekly and daily charts that you have a top right here. Again, if we take out the 50-week moving average and close below it, we will confirm it. This is our linear scaling. We turned out the 2017 trend line connected to the 2020 high there, the first 2020 high, and we turned right off of it 3 times. Bitcoin is likely topped at this trend line. Right now, Bitcoin, as we start the Monday session, we're down 1.43% here in the weekly time frame. Turned off of this trend line up close right here. You can see it from the 2020, the 2021 highs. For the week, Bitcoin was down 3.44% right here. Got that attempted rebound. Bitcoin ended up getting a candle of indecision. We'll see what it looks like by the end of the week. If we eventually come down and take out the 50-week moving average, you'll confirm a bear market. Last time we bounced off of it, as I've talked about. Bulls need a bounce and a push above resistance. The bears need a close below the 50-week and then another open and close below it to confirm it, staying below the 50-week moving average. That will confirm a bear market.